July 19th, 2022 City of Oshkosh Plan Commission meeting. We're glad that you can join us. I have a few housekeeping items to go over before we begin. For those of you that did not see the email the other day, the last item on our agenda, Planning Director's Report, has been removed at the request of the proposer, so we will not be having that. Other than that, the agenda is as stands. And I would like for everybody to please turn off or silence all personal communication devices. When there is an agenda item that includes a public hearing, please understand that the applicant will be allowed to speak first. After the applicant finishes speaking, the public will be asked to speak. When called upon to speak, please approach the podium and state your name and address for the public record. You will have one opportunity per agenda item to speak on that agenda item unless a Plan Commission member requires clarification or wishes to ask you a question. After the public finishes speaking on that particular item, the applicant will be asked if they have a final statement for the Plan Commission, and then the Plan Commission will take action on that agenda item. I appreciate your understanding on this, and now on to the agenda. It is a roll call, please.
Mr. Kiefer?
Here.
Mr. Marshall?
Here.
Ms. Prop?
Here.
Ms. Shireman?
Here.
Mr. Bowen? Mr. Kulabali?
Present.
Ms. Davy?
Here.
Councilmember Ford?
Here.
Vice Chair Mitchell?
Here.
Chairman Perry?
Here.
9 present.
All right, next item on the agenda is the approval of the July 5th, 2022 minutes, Plan Commission.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on that? Seeing none, this is just I vote. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. The minutes have been passed. Number one on the agenda is a consent agenda involving 3 items, and we will have the report on those coming up here. So, has anybody made any inspections, personal inspections of any of those 3 items, or anybody wish to have something pulled from the consent agenda? All right, let's have the summary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have 3 easement requests, all from WPS. The city would be granting 3 electrical easements to WPS. The first site is located at Lakeview Park, or Lakeshore Park. This is a 12-foot wide electrical easement coming from Ponuka Street to where the Four Seasons building will be constructed. This is to provide electric access. The second one is another electrical easement at Menominee Park. This is to provide electric power to the future bear exhibit. And again, it's another 12-foot wide easement outlined in blue. And the last request is a electrical easement for WPS at Lakeshore Park. This is for electric access to a emergency siren, which I believe is located. You can kind of see the location of the existing siren. I'm not 100% sure if they're going to be replacing it, but anyways, that's another 12-foot wide easement that runs along the west side of Ponoka Street. So staff is recommending approval of the consent agenda as presented.
All right, Plan Commission, any questions? No questions for the staff? All right, we have the consent agenda in front of you. We're looking for a motion.
Make a motion to adopt the recommendations and findings as stated in the consent agenda items.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, we will have a roll call vote.
Mr. Kiefer?
Aye.
Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Ms. Prop?
Aye.
Ms. Shireman?
Aye.
Mr. Kulabali?
Aye.
Ms. Davy?
Aye.
Councilmember Ford?
Aye.
Vice Chair Mitchell?
Aye.
Chairman Perry?
Aye.
Motion carried 9-0.
Thank you. Item number 2, residential design standards variance to allow for a deck on the front facade at 238 West 19th Avenue. Ann Stevenson is the owner and applicant. Were there any site inspections of that particular property? I see Ms. Shireman. Okay. I will accept the staff report as part of the record. Go ahead and present your summary.
Thank you. So the applicant is requesting approval from a variance for the city's design standard variance to allow a deck at the front facade of this property. Subject property is on the screen here. another image of it. So the code allows decks, balconies, and patios to be constructed only on a building's rear or interior side facade. So the address here, 238 West 19th, as you can see, has two fronts because it's a corner lot. So the applicant is proposing to construct a 12 by 10 deck with a new patio door on the facade of the home that faces Arizona Street. The complete work includes a new patio door, the deck, and the necessary steps for ingress and egress. The applicable ordinance prohibits this from occurring without this variance. Go to the next slide here. A couple more images showing the facade of the home where the deck is being proposed, along with the facade that the patio door is being proposed on as well. Staff feels that the proposal will not be contrary to public interest. It meets the required principal structure setback of 15 feet, and it will be approximately 30 feet setback from the right-of-way. So with that, staff is recommending approval of the variance request, and I will also mention that the workshop that we had on June 7th, the Plan Commission was in support of this proposal.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. Are there any technical questions for the staff? Mr. Mitchell?
Are there costs involved, added on costs involved for having to request the variance through this process? Yes. And then the other follow-up is about how many, I don't know, minutes or hours of staff time does it take to get to where we are today on this specific type of variance?
So to go through the process, depending upon the specific situation, this one is relatively straightforward, and we workshopped it, which makes it a little easier. Probably about 3 to 4 hours of staff time, just because of the requirements and the neighborhood notices and everything that we go through during the process.
Okay, I'll follow up later. Thank you.
All right, any other technical questions for the staff at this time? Okay, having seen none, I will have public comment, request a statement from the applicant. Is the applicant here to make a statement?
Yes, we are. Can you come up to the microphone for us?
And state your name and address for us, please. Thank
My
you.
name is Ann Stevenson, 238 West 19th Avenue. And
William Stevenson?
Just anything you'd like to add?
well, just appreciate your consideration for letting us do this. So that's about it.
Thank you. Are there any other individuals from the public that wishes to comment on this agenda item? Any other individuals from the public that wish to comment on this agenda item? Okay, having seen none, this is where I typically ask for a closing statement from the applicant, but you don't need to make one. So we will close the public comment period. And commission, it is up to you for action.
Motion to adopt the findings and recommendation as stated in the staff report.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Mr. Mitchell?
Easy, no-brainer. The recommendation I would have is, we've had a couple of these where there's the two front lot, corner, two front yards. It may be something to consider, a proposal that allows for staff to make just administrative decisions based on, a reasonable parameter, that if the proposal conforms to, that doesn't need to go through this process, doesn't need to entail the additional costs. As you had said, it's a pretty straightforward, easy decision. We've had almost no discussion. As long as it fits within certain parameters, that would be a sensible direction to go, I think.
Yeah, we can go back and look. I believe this is the second one we've done since 2017, the code adopted for basically this situation. We've had discussions with other members who wanted this variance, but had room to accommodate it. There's two now that I can think of that we've done where really there just was no other way to accommodate it.
Got it. Thank you.
All right, any other commission discussion on this motion? All right, seeing none, let's have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Kiefer?
Aye.
Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Ms. Prop?
Aye.
Ms. Shireman?
Aye.
Mr. Coulibaly?
Aye.
Ms. Davy?
Aye.
Councilmember Ford,
Aye.
Vice Chair Mitchell,
Aye.
Chairman Perry.
Aye.
Motion carried 9-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, item number 3, land disposition of vacant property south of the 2100 block of West 9th Avenue. City of Oshkosh is the owner. Bozeman Capital Group LLC is the applicant. Are there any site inspections by the Plan Commission for this item? Okay, having seen none, I will accept the staff report as part of the record. Please present us a summary.
Thank you. So this is a land disposition request. The site is located west of South Washburn Street and south of West 9th Avenue. Parcel in question is currently part of a city-owned stormwater easement for a stormwater pond. The petitioner is requesting disposition of the northern portion highlighted there. So the northern portion of that lot, and that would allow that remnant parcel to be combined with the property fronting West 9th Avenue for future commercial development. It is not needed for stormwater easement area anymore, and it will assist future development of the area. So staff is supportive of that land disposition. It'll also provide more uniform lot configuration for the area by removing that remnant parcel area. So staff recommends approval of the land disposition with the finding that the remnant parcel is no longer needed for public use.
All right, thank you. Plan Commission, are there any technical questions? Ms. Prop?
Yes, is this being sold to Bozeman Capital, and which lot is it going to be combined with?
Correct. So the potential developer is looking at acquiring, and they can come up and speak and correct me if I'm wrong here, all of those remaining homes for development site. So they would be looking at combining that property with the remainder of those residential properties to the north. Those properties are not zoned single family, they're old legal non-conforming, and they're looking at redeveloping that area.
Okay, but
And they would be purchasing the property from the city.
So point at which parcels we're talking about.
I know it's at least these three, and I can't recall if it was this one as well. Just
Just
these.
the 3 homes that are non-commercial.
Yeah, because that's an office.
Yeah, this one's an office.
Thought it was the other one that was the office.
I believe
That one
these are-
there.
I believe all three of these are still residential.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay, any other technical questions for the staff? All right, having seen none, I'm going to open a public comment period and request a statement from the applicant. Please state your name and address for our records, please.
My name's Peter Lang, 2300 White Swan Drive. Here on behalf of the applicant, Bozeman Capital Group. We currently have the 3 residential properties adjacent to this under contract. Our plan is to combine those into a single commercial parcel. This would allow us to square off the property with the neighboring parcels. We do not have specific users in mind, but we are marketing to commercial, and we'll go through a rezoning application when these are all combined into one parcel, to move it to commercial with or without this parcel. We know you're reviewing the neighboring property for reuse, so we would anticipate closing on this and trying to market it to commercial users. We do not have a user even in the pipeline currently, but we like the parcel. We think it's a good piece of land.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public that wish to comment on this agenda item? Any other members of the public that wish to comment on this agenda item? Okay, having seen none, I'm going to close the public comment period. Usually I ask for a closing statement.
The only thing that I think you all know, but I'll reiterate, I don't believe I'd be eligible to purchase this until I had already closed on the neighboring parcels. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're still working out the final terms of what that purchase agreement will look like, but we'll probably be including something similar to that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Commission, I need action on this motion. Or I need action on this agenda item.
Motion to adopt the findings and recommendations stated in the staff report.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this motion? No discussion on this motion. Okay, we will have a roll call vote.
Mr. Kiefer?
Aye.
Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Ms. Prop?
Aye.
Ms. Shireman?
Aye.
Mr. Colabali?
Aye.
Ms. Davy?
Aye.
Councilmember Ford?
Aye.
Vice Chair Mitchell?
Aye.
Chairman Perry?
Aye.
Motion carried 9-0.
Great, thank you. Item number 4, It's a public hearing with a zone change from suburban mixed-use district at SMU to suburban mixed-use district with a planned development overlay for properties located west of South Washburn Street. Acquire Properties LLC, Jeff Edmonds is the owner and applicant. Have there been any site inspections by the Plan Commission? Seeing none, I will accept the staff report as part of the record. Please present your summary.
Thank you. So this request includes 2 parcels to the west and southwest of 2625 South Washburn Street, located right here. Neither has access to public right-of-way. The northern portion is currently vacant, and the southern parcel has an existing storage building. The applicant is requesting a zone change to add a planned development overlay for both of these properties. That's intended to provide consistent zoning with the existing 2625 property, which is Acquire Restoration. And that is intended to accommodate future expansion of the Acquire Restoration site, which would be the next item. They're proposing 3 storage buildings, which would include a stormwater pond extending into this northern of the 2 properties. So staff is supportive of the rezone as it will be consistent with surrounding zoning, especially to the south here. It'll also provide the ability for that stormwater pond to extend into the property. And it will also accommodate future development since there's no street frontage. Future development would likely require base standard modifications to allow for development. Staff recommends approval of the rezone as stated in your staff report.
Okay, thank you. Plan Commission, any technical questions to the staff? Okay, seeing none, we will open the public hearing and we will request a statement from the applicant. Please approach the podium and state your name and address for our records, please.
Hello, my name is Jeff Edmonds, 1609 Wirehorse Creek, Oshkosh, Wisconsin. I purchased the parcel in question in 2019 prior to purchasing the building in front at 2625 South Washburn. I went through this whole process in 2019 to get a zone change and plan development for us to occupy the main building at 2625. At that point in time, I did convey my intention of building storage units behind that location. However, that wasn't documented. And the only reason why the retention pond needs to cross the lot line that right there is because there's a ditch. You see like the little dark spot right there? There's a bunch of trees. There's a ditch. So all the water, there's pretty much ditches around every property line there. So the water travels down the back of our property to that ditch. So in order to properly convey and collect the stormwater before it leaves our parcel, we need to cross over that parcel into abutting that the ditch to transfer the excess water out of the retention pond into the flow of path of water downstream. So that's really the only reason for this. And my future development is additional storage buildings on those 2 landlocked parcels. So can't see them from the road. Nobody even knows they're there until you see an aerial.
All right, thank you. At this time, I will request additional public comment. Is there anybody that would like to have a say on this agenda item? Anybody out there that would like to have a say on this agenda item? Okay, I'm going to close the public comment period. Usually ask a closing statement from the applicant, but nobody spoke, so you're good.
Thank you for your time.
All right. Commission, I need a motion on this agenda item.
I move to approve the finding and recommendation as stated in the staff report.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion on the motion, Plan Commission. Okay, having seen none, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Kiefer?
Aye.
Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Ms. Prop?
Aye?
Ms. Shireman?
Aye.
Mr. Coulibaly?
Aye.
Ms. Davy?
Aye.
Councilmember Ford?
Aye.
Vice Chair Mitchell?
Aye.
Chairman Perry?
Aye.
Motion carried 9-0.
Thank you. Great. Item number 5, specific implementation plan amendment for storage buildings located at 2625 South Washburn Street. Acquire Properties LLC, Jeff Edmonds, owner, applicant. Have there been any site inspections? No site inspections. I will accept the staff report as part of the record. Please present your summary.
Thank you. So this is the same site as previous. surrounding areas, commercial development. In April of 2019, a GDP and SIP were approved for converting the previous car dealership to the current headquarters for acquire restoration. Here's a view of the subject property. The plan is for 3 storage buildings to the rear of the existing building. Also additional parking lot area to access those storage buildings. A portion of those storage units will be used by the applicant to acquire restoration, and the remainder will be used or leased out by the applicant to the general public for personal storage. A BSM is required for the site expansion, as personal storage facility is not permitted in the SMU zoning district, and this was discussed at a Plan Commission workshop back in February. And Plan Commission voiced support, provided the front side of those buildings are dressed up with landscaping and the building colors kind of match the contractor site. So staff is supportive of a BSM to allow the storage buildings, as they will be located to the rear of the site with little visibility from the public right-of-way. Also, the area is adjacent to existing storage areas on properties to the north and rear undeveloped area of the outlet mall to the south. The applicant is also requesting a BSM to allow the new pavement areas to be constructed without curbing surrounding the parking or access areas. The applicant states that they're proposing asphalt without curbing to be consistent with the existing parking lots, which is not curbed. Staff is supportive of a BSM to allow that pavement without curbing, as it will only be utilized for accessing the storage buildings, and it does not contain parking stalls or landscape islands that we typically see with a parking lot. It'll also provide a more seamless connection to the existing uncurbed parking lot. Here's the lighting plan. It is meeting the requirement of 0.4 foot candles for all circulation areas and not exceeding 0.5 foot candles at the property lines, with the exception of one small area along the shared access drive along the south property line showing 0.6 foot candles. Staff does not have any concerns with that, as it'll only a slight increase by 0.1 foot candles, and it's for a shared access drive area. Here's the landscape plan. So for building foundation landscaping, they're showing it along the front side of the buildings. It is just slightly under the code requirement, and they could meet the code requirement by swapping out 3 shrubs for another arborvitae tree to meet that. It is also meeting the paved area requirement, but not providing shrub landscaping points, which is a code requirement. But staff is supportive of a BSM to allow all points being devoted to trees, as the distance from the public right-of-way, staff feels that trees are appropriate in this case to provide an enhanced visual appearance from the right-of-way. And also they are exceeding the yard landscaping requirement, and that will serve to offset the requested base standard modifications. Here are the elevations. So this is building A. So the buildings will be clad in non-decorative metal panels on all facades, with the front east-facing elevations including approximately 23% stone veneer. So a BSM is needed to allow the rear and side facades to be clad entirely in non-decorative metal panels. So according to the applicant, the decorative finishes were not included on the sides of the building, as the sides have overhead doors, leaving little area for facade enhancement. And also the rear facade will not be visible from the right-of-way or adjacent properties. So staff is supportive of a BSM to allow the sides and rear of the storage buildings to be clad entirely in non-decorative metal panels, as they are exceeding the 15% Class 1 requirement on the front facades. So they are enhancing the street-facing elevations. Also, the elevations will be metal wall panels will be medium gray in color to match the existing building per recommendation of Plan Commission at the workshop. So again, here's the elevation of building B. So east-facing facade having the stone veneer at 23%, and the same thing for building C. So with that, staff recommends approval of the SIP amendment with the findings and conditions in your staff report.
Okay, thank you for your report. It's Plan Commission, any technical questions for the staff on this project? Mr. Mitchell.
Can you show one of the photos of the development with the, I guess looking at the full lot? Is that the whole lot there?
So those buildings are basically here, and their stormwater pond extends across.
Okay. So when we're looking at impervious surface amount, we're looking at those two combined, and so they're getting credit for that whole back portion?
I think the calculations are only on the primary lot, and they still fall under.
Correct. They're still under the 70% for this lot.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it was just surprising because when I saw that picture, it looked like the whole thing was driveway,
Yeah.
storage unit, and
So this is all a grass area. This is a grass area. Got some area in here.
got it. Then the only other follow-up I had regarding no curbs was, are they permitted to park vehicles on the lawn and to drive on the lawn? Because that's usually one of the deterrent, the factors that a curb has.
Nope, they would not. That would not change the regulations for driving or parking on grass. If this was an industrial zone site and was doing storage, industrial does not require the curbing. So in this instance, it's a bit of a difference between the fact that we have a commercial district and industrial land use conflict a little bit in that sense. If it was a traditional HI zone property, they would have been exempt anyways.
Any other technical questions for staff? Okay, having seen none, I will open a public comment period, and I will request a statement from the applicant.
Me again. Jeff Edmonds, 1609 Wirehorse Creek Road, Oshkosh, Wisconsin. I just want to convey that this is a secondary use of the property. The primary use is acquire restoration up front. The back parcel is probably back section of this parcel is about 50% gravel that's beyond its useful life, and then it was an overgrown tree habitat for wild animals, and I recently did cut all those trees down just because it was a nuisance. And basically, the primary business is the primary reason for the parcel is acquire restoration. This is a secondary parcel. You won't really be able to see it from the street when you're driving by, and either way, we're going to make it look as good as the main building does. Also, not that it does matter, but I've been in talks with the receivership bank that owns the outlet mall, because that southern driveway along that blue line, I do not own it. I have an easement that was signed from 1974 that allows me to grant access to the rear parcels, and it's been 9 months of going back and forth with the bank, the receivership that owns the outlet mall, about me acquiring that 0.49 acre section of land as well. So long term, that is my goal, is to acquire that and also building more storage buildings on that rear lot. So this would just be in accordance with my long-term development.
Hey, thank you. Are there any other individuals from the public that wish to comment on this agenda item? Any other members of the public that wish to comment on this agenda item? All right, having seen none, I'm going to close the public comment period. I would request a statement from the applicant, but none is needed. So, commission action goes to you.
Motion to adopt the findings and recommendations as stated in the staff report.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any discussion on the motion? Well, you guys know I have to say something, so. As you are aware, I'm not a big fan of storage facilities and storage buildings. However, this property poses to be one of the most perfect places for it to occur. The applicant has gone out of their way to kind of hide or beautify the area somewhat, and so I think it's very appropriate use for that particular property, so I'm in full support of it. Any other comment? All right, let's have a roll call vote.
Mr. Kiefer?
Aye.
Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Ms. Prop?
Aye.
Ms. Shireman?
Aye.
Mr. Coulibaly?
Aye.
Ms. Davy?
Aye.
Councilmember Ford?
Aye.
Vice Chair Mitchell?
Aye.
Chairman Perry?
Aye.
Motion carried 9-0.
Thank you. Item number 6, a preliminary plat for the creation of an 18-lot plus 2 outlot, single-family residential subdivision at the east end of Farmington Avenue called Farmington Cottages. Mitchell Nordahl Wildflower Development Group, LLC is the applicant and owner. Were there any site inspections of this property by the Plan Commission? Okay, having seen none, I will accept the staff report as part of the record. Please present your summary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant's requesting approval of a preliminary plat containing 18 single-family lots, 2 outlots, parkland dedication, and street dedications, which is identified as Farmington Cottages. The area of the request is a 5.51 acre parcel, which is generally located on the easterly end of Farmington Avenue, south of Olson Avenue, and somewhat west of Jackson Street. The property is currently zoned SR9, Single Family Residential 9. And back in March, the property was rezoned from SR5 to allow a higher density residential residential uses. And at the same time, the comprehensive land use map was amended from the previous general commercial to light density residential to accommodate the zone change and proposed land use. The surrounding area is a mix of single-family uses to the north and west, commercial and multifamily to the south, and vacant lots to the east. And this is just an aerial shot, close-up of the property, currently vacant. That's not right. Apologize for that, something must have moved on me. Okay, here's a image of the proposed subdivision. In 2014, the city officially mapped right-of-way to make a loop connection. Let me go back to this slide here. Whoops, I got to. Officially mapped right-of-way to make a loop connection from Farmington heading east and then bending to the south and connecting to Christian Drive again to the west. The proposed subdivision more or less follows that official mapping, not exactly the same, but the proposed plat shows the extension of Farmington Avenue and then curving south to a new street called Pasture Way. And for the time being, there will be a temporary cul-de-sac or turnaround area in the form of an easement until such time the land to the south develops. The official mapping is a tool that's used to preserve land, and from a zoning perspective, it's treated as if it were dedicated right away to ensure that loop connection can be eventually made. The plat utilizes the entire site's 5.5 acres, subdividing the land into 18 single-family lots and 2 outlots. 2 outlots being at the southwest corner, and there's one disconnected lot, lot 18, which does not front on the new street dedications, but will front on Olson Avenue. The proposed street layout does not exactly match the official mapping action from 2014. So as this development progresses, the city will delete the current official mapping and then re-officially map an extension of Pasture Way to connect with Christian Drive. This will ensure that the future loop roadway can still be made. This is the first new residential subdivision that's using the SR9 zone district standards. The SR9 district allows for smaller lot sizes and reduced principal structure setbacks compared to plats located in the more traditional SR5 and SR3 districts. On the upper left is just a table showing the minimum lot widths for SR9, 5, and 3, minimum depths, minimum square footage of the lot, and then the various setbacks from the front, rear, and sides. The SR9 has a minimum lot area of 4,500 square feet with a 40-foot minimum width at the right-of-way line and a minimum depth of 100 feet. The proposed plat does take advantage, or 8 of the lots takes advantage of the smaller lot sizes, with the lots being narrower and less area than what would have been allowed in the ordinance prior to the 2017 ordinance rewrite. All the lots meet the SR9 minimum standards as far as width, depth, and area. The overall density of the development is still quite low at 3.26 units per acre, or roughly 1 unit per 13,349 square feet. Part of that is due to the fact that just the natural shape of the lot creates unusually wider lots than what we would initially envision for an SR9 setting. That's just more or less a byproduct of the existing lot. The city, the police department and fire departments have reviewed the plat and did not have any issues or concerns with servicing the additional population. And the Oshkosh Area School District has been notified and has not responded with any concerns about being able to accommodate the potential increase in student population. The Department of Public Works has reviewed the plat, and city utilities, city water, sanitary sewer is available from Farmington Avenue and does not have any concerns with the additional flowage and water usage. Stormwater management is identified on the plat, nothing finalized yet, but the northern portions of lots 2 through 8 will be reserved for stormwater detention and management. One thing to note, we'll go back to this one here. The city currently has a a storm sewer easement, a 60-foot wide one, which runs all the way across the property from west to east. The Department of Public Works has agreed to release the easement since most of the existing sanitary sewer pipe is located in what will be right-of-way. And at final platting, a new 30-foot wide storm sewer easement will connect from the new dedicated right-of-way out to the east to connect with the east property line. Civil plans including water, grading, drainage, and sanitary sewer are not required at this time and will be required with final platting in the future. Parkland dedication. The subdivision regulations require a land dedication in the amount of 1,100 square feet for each single-family lot, which equates to 19,800 square feet of land dedication. The council does have the option to accept parkland fees in the amount of $400 per single-family lot for a total of $7,200. The Parks Master Plan does not recommend a new neighborhood park in this area. However, the Parks Department did analyze the area and it is deficient in parkland for residents without having to travel across major streets like Jackson and Snell Road to the north. The Parks Department worked with the developer and determined that Outlot 2 at the southwest corner of the subdivision would be an ideal location for a future park. This would allow potential expansion of the park to the south should this develop residentially. On June 13th of this year, the Parks Advisory Board recommended the combination of partial parkland dedication and fee in lieu of. So the total amount of square footage being dedicated to the city is just over 10,000 square feet. And it's being proposed that the shortfall of 9,700 square feet would be made up in parkland dedication fees, prorated at the amount of $400 per single family lot. With that, here's the storm sewer easement that currently runs through their property. It'll be released and then rededicated as a 30-foot wide easement, generally in this area. And this is the current official mapping that's currently in place, and this will be deleted and remapped to accommodate the new plat. So there we go. Staff recommends approval of the 18-lot preliminary plat for Farmington Cottages as proposed.
Can you go back to the parkland one for me? So this is culmination, a lot of work with planning staff, Parks Department, and this potential developer to come up with a kind of equitable solution of how we can achieve sufficient parkland in this area and still make a viable product for the developer. The solution that we worked out and took to Parks Board back in June is that the developer is going to dedicate a portion of the property, or what's shown here in Outlot 2 may change slightly from what is shown here during final plat, but roughly about 10 to 13,000 square feet will be dedicated. And then the city, with its prior fee in lieu of money it is acquired over the years, is going to purchase Outlot 1 to achieve a slightly larger area, a little over 20,000 square feet of total parkland area, which exceeds what would have just been required by dedication. We worked with the developer to choose this southwest corner with the anticipation that as the property to the south develops, we would potentially do a similar project with the parkland for that property flipped on the south side of these lots, getting us about an acre park in this area long term. So it's a unique solution that we've worked out with this developer that the Parks Board was supportive of, and I think it really shows kind of some of the innovative thinking that we're having to try to do to get developers to continue to develop in our community, but still get the parkland that we need within these neighborhoods.
Okay, thank you for your report. Plan Commission, are there any technical questions? Ms. Prop?
Yeah, I think you answered my question, which is why not Outlot 1? And so the answer is it will be a park in this, call it an elegant solution.
Correct.
An inventive solution.
Yep, it'll
So
be
I like
parkland.
that.
We're just buying it instead of them dedicating it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mr. Ford?
So the school district didn't respond at all? Is that what I heard?
I did not hear back from them at all, so.
Okay, is that pretty typical, or?
With preliminary plating, yes. Final
Okay.
plats, they start to perk up a little bit.
Sounds good, thanks.
Ms. Shireman?
My question is about that parkland dedication. So, two questions. One is, it could just be green space, so it doesn't mean teeter-totters and playground equipment and all of that, or?
The actual, what the park looks like will be determined in the future. For now, it's just getting the land under city control, and then as money is available, they'll work on the park plan for what goes there.
Okay, then the second question, that same thought is there timing on that? Like it has to be done, or the expectation is within a year, or 3 years, or 5 years, or?
Unfortunately, there is not. A lot of it comes down to funding of when Parks has the money available to actually implement a park in that location.
And then, sorry, third, do we have instances where we have dedicated land and we haven't followed, I don't want to say we haven't followed through, but we haven't, added the equipment and all of those things?
We have undeveloped parkland that has been dedicated as part of projects, yes.
Okay, better said that way, thank you.
Ms. Davy?
Again, with Park, I think I understood you to say that the developer will be paying like $4,700 or something for the fact that they're not donating enough, and then we're going to buy the lot next door?
Correct. They will be paying, because of the way the ordinance reads, there's a fee in lieu of if you do not meet the full requirement. So they will be required to pay a fee in lieu of for what they're short. Will then have worked out a rough negotiation price of what we will purchase the lot for. So in essence, they'll pay us for part of it, and then we'll buy the lot with some additional fee in lieu of funds from other developments.
Okay, just wanted to be sure I got that right.
Yeah, with the land dedication they're proposing right now, they're about halfway there. The plat would require 19,800 square feet. They're dedicating 10,000 square feet, so the fees the city will collect is roughly $3,600.
Any other technical questions? Mr. Mitchell?
Are there sidewalks through this then?
There will be sidewalk requirement.
And with the park, the images looked like to the west there maybe wasn't sidewalk. Is that something that we would then, I don't know if there's already sidewalk in the plan, but if not, is that something that we would look to work towards implementing?
I believe the red line just happens, and I'm looking at Justin back there. I believe the red line is just covering up the sidewalk on the south side. There is sidewalk along there. Justin's nodding his head back there, so.
Not on the south side, though.
I believe the south side there is as well, correct? Let's double check.
As you're looking, one other follow-up question, is there, do we know when it stopped being used for farmland?
I looked back on previous photography, and it doesn't look like it's been farmed for a long time.
Okay, wow.
It's just been sitting vacant, and they're mowing it.
Is that to the south as well, the commercial lot?
So the lot to the south is owned by the commercial development on Jackson Street.
I believe it's the tire shop.
And the majority of that lot is just not being used?
Correct. It's just vacant land at this time.
Farmington does have sidewalks on both sides. Olson doesn't have it on either side.
Beat me to it.
Nice, well, thank you for.
All right, any other technical questions for the staff? All right, since this is a public hearing, I will open the public hearing and request a statement from the applicant. Is the applicant here?
I do not believe they are here today.
All right, and since the applicant is not here, are there any other members of the public that wish to comment on this? Approach the podium and state your name and address for our records, please. Thank you.
Hi, Tara Notsky, 600 Farmington. First comment, there is no sidewalk on the
Yeah,
south
Just
side.
looked and verified that the sidewalk stops at
Olson,
Olson.
but there is on the north side. This is like the third proposal I've come to, and this is the best one yet, so I'm all for it. That's all I have.
All right. Are
They do farm it too, by the way, the
do?
5.5.
Look like an arrow, so that's good to know.
All right, are there any other individuals that wish to speak on this matter? All right, having said none, and your mom did do okay, so that was good. I will close the public comment period. The applicant is not here, so will not ask for a closing statement. Commission, action on this agenda item.
Move to adopt the finding and recommendation as stated in the staff report.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on this motion? Mr. Kiefer.
Just like the state, we talked about the park and being developed and having plans for it. I do want to say that there are, in the CIP, as you probably all know, there are many plans for many years and many parks that are being developed, and many things have been developed and redone over the years. So that we have parcels and new developments that haven't been developed, I don't think that's unusual, and I think it's just a matter of time before those are carried forward. So.
Thank you. Mr. Mitchell.
So there's a multifamily development to the south. Is there either a park in proximity to that, or is there access to this space with, I guess, somewhat ease? She said that it's farmed, and so that changes what I was going to suggest, is that if it's not being currently utilized, it would be great if there was some sort of avenue to work out a shared access where people from the family development could easily get straight up there. But.
So I would say right now there is not an access way up there because I don't believe Jackson in this area has sidewalk. No. The Corp plan identified actually an area even farther north here as the proposed location for a larger community park or neighborhood park. But kind of as we've seen development since that Corp plan was done, as we're working with the Parks Department, we really determined we need something for this large block of residential in this area to accommodate it. But same developer who's proposing this is interested in the property to the south. So there is maybe a potential as this develops to make a connection point, out of the multifamily area, maybe a small path between sites to get to that park. Because the thought would be for so this is the area they're looking at dedicating here, would be to get a similar place here. So maybe we could get a small path and then a crosswalk or something to accommodate that.
Right.
Okay, any other discussion on this motion from the Plan Commission? All right, having seen none, we'll have a roll call vote.
Mr. Kiefer?
Aye.
Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Ms. Prop?
All right.
Ms. Shireman?
Aye.
Mr. Coulibaly?
Aye.
Ms. Davy?
Aye.
Councilmember Ford?
Aye.
Vice Chair Mitchell?
Aye.
Chairman Perry?
Aye.
Motion carried 9-0.
Great. Item number 7, a public hearing, text amendments to the zoning ordinance, the city of Oshkosh as the applicant. Obviously, there would be no site inspection, so I will accept the staff report as part of the record.
So I'm going to start here and ask Plan Commission. Obviously, we workshopped this previously. We've talked through these. Do you want us to go through them all one at a time again? Or do you just have questions? How would you like to handle this one? It's a pretty lengthy set of them.
I just have one question. I would like to do it the question way.
Oh, Ms. Prop.
Adaptive reuse. remind me what adaptive reuse.
So we have a great example for this one, because since we proposed this, a situation has come up that actually would love to take advantage of this, should council choose to approve it. Just on the north side of Church Street here, across from City Hall, there is what was originally constructed as a single-family home, was converted to a law office for a significant portion of time. They would like to now go back to a single-family home. So the original occupant of that building, it's zoned commercially now, the fact that it's in kind of the urban core. Under today's code, there is no avenue for them to do that short of trying to zone change it, comp plan amendment, all of that fun stuff. What we're proposing with the adaptive reuse would allow a conditional use permit for that property to use adaptive reuse to go back to what the structure was originally intended in construction for.
Ah, okay.
It's available in other urban districts, but it's not currently available in the NMU district and the UMU district. So this would just be adding adaptive reuse to those two urban districts, similar to other urban districts.
Okay, basically, it's going back to an original use.
Correct.
Okay, good. Thank
So
you.
yeah, at the time we proposed it, we just figured there'd be a time where we could use it, and it turns out that time is now.
Okay.
Oh, there's the other one too. So there's a couple times, yeah.
Okay, is there any other Plan Commission requests to have a summary of the changes?
If I may, I'll make just a couple
Sure.
comments. So the other, kind of the big ones you guys have over the years since the new code, with the perennial plantings, had to provide a BSM for those, right?
So we've had a lot of confusion with landscape architects on how perennial points were calculated. You frequently heard Brian sit up here and say they overcalculated their perennials. So this is clarifying that section of the code so we don't run into that again in the future.
Yeah, this goes back to your point about the design standard variance question, right? It's cleaning up and clarifying a couple things.
Mhm.
The other one related to drive-throughs, for now allowing a second drive-through with pre-menu boards.
Yep, some of that stuff we had previously workshopped.
Yep.
Okay, so anybody else require a summary on anything, or this is also technical questions for staff? Are there any other technical questions for staff? Mr. Ford?
I'll just say, so this is mostly cleanup and just reacting to small things that we've noticed over the past.
Correct. You know, zoning ordinances are kind of a living, breathing document, and as we administer them and as we see how development changes, we kind of learn what we need to better clarify, what we need to maybe update to keep up with current standards.
That's good. Thank you.
Any other technical questions? Okay, since this is a public hearing, I will declare the public hearing open. Is there anybody from the public that wishes to comment on this agenda item? Anybody from the public wish to comment on this agenda item? Having seen none, I will close the public hearing, and I will not ask for a statement from the applicant, so we can move on to the motion from the committee.
Make a motion to adopt the recommendations and findings as stated in the staff report.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on that motion? Mr. Mitchell?
One thing, so the perennial section is being updated, and we had looked at it, and it kind of confusing in that it uses its base perennial listing, and then on the bottom has kind of a notation about natives. And so I did put together a list of natives and how they would fit, and shared it with Mark. Because it wasn't noticed initially with the same amount and frequency, I guess, of public notification, it didn't fit in here. But at some point when they do a future change, that'll probably come back in and look to incorporate that as well.
Yeah, Justin did a great job. We got a really nice list of what native plantings people can use here. We didn't send it as part of the notice, so we couldn't include it today's request, but assuming Plan Commission feels it's appropriate, I'd like to bring it back maybe in August here, because I think it'd be a great asset to be able to give to developers and landscape architects to not just say, you get extra if you use native plantings. Here specifically are some native plantings that are appropriate for our area.
Yeah, that's a wonderful idea.
That's terrific.
Thank you.
Sustainable.
Thank you,
So,
Justin.
thank you to Justin for doing it.
Yes, any other discussion on the motion? Okay, having seen none, let's have a roll call vote.
Mr. Kiefer? Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Ms. Prop?
Aye.
Ms. Shireman?
Aye.
Mr. Kulabali?
Aye.
Ms. Davy?
Aye.
Councilmember Ford?
Aye.
Vice Chair Mitchell?
Aye.
Chairman Perry?
Aye.
Motion carried 9-0.
All right, next item on the agenda, as I mentioned at the beginning of the agenda, has been withdrawn, the planning director's report, so now we're on to adjournment.
Move to adjourn?
Second.
Okay, it's been motion and second. We can have a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
And you can't.
Everybody been.
Thank you, everyone.